Yeah, you got that right. We're talking about TV shows in your video game videos. Don't freak out. Netflix's Stranger Things is a damn good show, so we're here to talk about 10 reasons Stranger Things would make a great video game. Before we start, I do have to mention that there are going to be some spoilers here, so be wary. And I gotta say, you should watch this show going in knowing nothing about it because it's much better to be surprised. But let's get started off with number 10. Let's talk about Stranger Things itself. Sure, this is probably our most basic reason, but it would make a great game because it's a great show. It has a little bit of everything. There's 80s nostalgia, mystery, lighthearted fun, amazing characters, young and old, elements of horror, completely unique elements, and a bunch of callbacks to other things like old Spielberg films, and it's just one of those great shows primed for binge watching from beginning to end. You're hooked on the mystery, you're just as into dark as these characters are, but the show's writing is solid enough to get you to really care about the characters and follow them through their journey of saving their friend Will and figuring out what's going on. If you ignored our spoiler warning, but you're still watching this video and you just listened to me, I hope I convinced you because you should watch it. It's a pretty good show. And at number 9, Stranger Things would make a great game because, one thing, kids on bikes. Kids on bikes is something that we don't really see in a lot of media, but in a game, it can kind of lead itself to endless possibility. Think about playing as one of the main kid characters and riding around your neighborhood in an open world, open-ended type of setting, riding your bike, going through the woods, looking for clues, riding your bike to school, getting beaten up by bullies. There's a lot you can do with that formula alone, and something about a bike chase is just so exciting, especially when government G-men are chasing you. I almost like to imagine Stranger Things would be something like the beginning of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, where everything is going down and you're riding around on bikes around the neighborhood. Remember how much fun that was? Well, just imagine Stranger Things slapped onto that. And at number 8, Stranger Things would make a great game because it also lends itself very well to a horror-style video game. I don't know about you, but for me with the show, I picked up a ton of Silent Hill references. The Upside Down is a lot like the alternative world you go into in Silent Hill. And that leads me to imagine Stranger Things also being a survival horror type game. I almost could go as far as to say a first-person survival horror game, where in first person you're exploring the Upside Down and it's terrifying and you gotta hide from monsters. I don't know. But there is just a lot of spooky, weird, creepy material there, which, you know, people who play games love, and I think it could work out pretty nicely. And at number 7, Stranger Things could make a compelling game because of the characters. There's tons of characters, young and old, and they all seem pretty believable, they're all interesting to watch, and they all have a significant arc worth experiencing. That, of course, in a game would be awesome. From Hopper, the washed-up cop seeking redemption who just kind of really kicks a lot of ass, to Winona Ryder as Will's mother who is still kind of a babe in a weird type of way, to the 3 boys and 11 having some kind of group dynamic, and of course my favorite character, shitty 80s dad. Basically, if you could play as any character from Stranger Things, it would make for an interesting single-player campaign. I also like to imagine that there could be an adult single-player campaign and a children's single-player campaign. The children campaign would be even better because it could be like 4-player co-op, but they could have completely different sides of the story, and that just makes for what could be an awesome game. And at number 6, speaking of those characters, there's enough story, enough backstory, enough weird little things, and just character development to really be explored almost in like a Telltale style game. You know, something like Tales from the Borderlands, The Wolf Among Us, or The Walking Dead could totally be adapted for Stranger Things. Some people might even argue this is the best way to tackle it just because there is so much dialogue and real story with Stranger Things if it was a direct adaptation. I'm not totally convinced, but I think maybe some sort of Stranger Things spin-off thing would work very well under a Telltale development. And at number 5, one gameplay mechanic, cool psychic powers. The best part about the character 11 is that she is young, she is learning her powers, but she's insanely dangerous, and we're still not totally sure of all that she's really capable of. But I feel like playing as her in a game could be crazy, something like maybe Psy-Ops, remember Psy-Ops, throwing people around with your telekinesis? Or maybe just you tap the circle button and everyone in the room simply dies. She would probably have some sort of stamina nosebleed meter that, you know, her powers would drain, and then she'd need to eat more waffles to recharge or something, I don't know, but I think it would be totally great. I would want to play that. And at number 4, this is something totally stupid that we came up with, but hey, I'm spitballing here. Speaking of Eggo waffles, what if there was some sort of Eggo waffles promotion within the game? You know, like, look, as much as sometimes it's really shitty, every single game has some sort of pre-order bonus here and there. But what if you bought a box of Eggo waffles and inside the box there was a code for like an alternate skin or some sort of secret weapon that you could redeem in the game? You probably think I'm absolutely freaking crazy. And you know, that's fine. Like I said, I'm just spitballing here. And at number 3, the reason Stranger Things would make a great game is because we'd finally maybe get that Goonies type game we've always wanted. I mean, sure, there have been 2 Goonies games, the original Goonies game based on the movie, and then of course the classic NES and somewhat decent The Goonies 2, The Fratelli's Last Stand, but ultimately those don't really fill the void of what we've wanted. A lot of people have just always wanted more Goonies, just more of that awesome 80s classic kid adventure movie. Stranger Things, in a lot of ways, thanks to all its influences, is basically that, so why couldn't we get a video game continuation of that? Playing as a group of kids, stumbling upon something that they shouldn't have, and going through a kind of awesome and coming-of-age adventure could just be great. It's just good video game material. And at number 2, the game is basically writing itself here at this point. The Demogorgon would basically make a really good endgame boss battle. Whether you play as 11 and you defeat this thing, or you play as one of the boys and it's more of an Amnesia style thing where you have to hide from it, it would make for some really tense situations. And of course, I'm pretty sure the Demogorgon would look better in the game because, you know, I feel like the show had a limited budget with the actual special effects for the Demogorgon, but that's besides the point. The Demogorgon is just an enemy that I do want to know a little bit more about and I would love to face down with in a game. And at number 1, Stranger Things could make a great game not only for replicating the series, but also kind of giving us an alternative perspective on the story. The game would be a perfect way of letting you play out Will's side of the story. Will's been trapped in the Upside Down, and it's up to you to play as him and basically help him survive. Yes, this could kind of be like an endless survival crafting style game or whatever, where you basically have to cobble up a bunch of shit and survive in this upside down terrible place and hide out in your little fort. But there's a lot of material and a lot of room there for the game to just kind of flesh out its own new story and grow and be its own thing, but also be within the lore of the Stranger Things show. That to me has a ton of potential, could be a lot of fun, and provide some new story stuff. So for that, I am totally down and I would love to see that. And then of course on the flip side, there could also be Barbara DLC. So guys, those are 10 reasons why Stranger Things we think would make a great game. These are reasons and also just kind of concepts that we came up with that we thought would be great for some sort of adaptation. But we want to know from you guys down in the comments what you think about Stranger Things and what you think about Stranger Things if it were a freaking game. I want to know what you guys think because I feel like there's just like endless material here. So let's talk about it down in the comments. Let me know anything you want about Stranger Things, and you guys know clicking the like button helps us out a ton. If you enjoyed this video, let us know. We'll do more. We're going to try new versions of this new style of series. And subscribing is a good idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.